I think photography made me a better filmmaker, and here's why. I never realized how much photography meant to me until I couldn't do it anymore. I've been thinking a lot about where this all started for me. Photography was my first love. That feeling and sound of taking a roll of film out of its packaging. That feeling of loading up a film camera, knowing that that strip of film would hold on to moments forever. And over time, filmmaking took over. Photography has always been about less about the picture itself and more about the process of making them. And every click of the shutter feels like proof I was there, that I saw something worth holding on to. But it's not just about making images. It's about remembering how it felt to be there. Alright, so how's everybody out there doing today? It is of course your boy Volandis back with another video. And in today's video, we're talking about photography. Alright, so anybody who's been following me for a long time know that this channel started off as a photography channel. And if you guys have been following me since even before I made this YouTube channel, you know that I am a kind of photographer first. I started off as a photographer and making photographs and just doing photography. Super long-winded way to just say that I am a photographer and I've been doing photography for a long time before I started doing video. But with that being said, if you guys are here now and today, you guys know that this kind of transitioned into a filmmaking channel, which I always thought was inevitable because even when I was doing photography videos, I always leaned into doing them in a cinematic way and kind of just like a filmmaking approach to kind of photography videos. Whether that was making like little commercials or little short films for the beginning of the videos like I do now, and just all the other stuff that I do now, I was doing with the photography videos as well. They were just mainly about photography, which is why I think I fell into the style and kind of way of making videos and going about filmmaking that I do now, because I've always wanted my photos to feel like they were kind of stills from a movie. And that's kind of how I always approached photography. But it's kind of been a while since I just fully focused on photography. But I clearly started as a photographer and then got into film photography, and then everything about film photography, from loading a film camera, taking a film out of its packaging and just having that kind of tangible kind of something to hold on to, knowing that this roll of film was going to be making photos that kind of lived forever or not lived forever. I would either be making mistakes or making some of my favorite photos with a roll of film, and you just never really know. You guys know that I mainly shoot medium format film, so I usually only get about 10 shots per roll anyway. So just going out and making mistakes and figuring out lighting and composition and really just having to kind of hone in on what I'm doing and really pay attention to what I'm doing made me fall in love fully with the film photography kind of process and just photography again in general, because I already loved photography. And then I got diagnosed with cancer early last year, and I remember just laying down and thinking how much I wanted to take photos. And I remember just laying around thinking about how much I just wanted to go out and take photos of whatever. I guess it was something about not being able to do it, and not like me not choosing to do it, but my body physically not allowing me to go do something that I truly wanted to do and something that I truly love. So during those moments, I always said that when I got better, I was going to never take taking photos for granted again, or never just put it off to the side or make it not important in my life as much as it's been, because I feel like a lot of the reason why I am where I am today is because of a camera, specifically for photography. I can kind of chuck everything up that I'm doing today and everything that I'm going to do in the future I kind of chuck it up to my 11 plus years of doing photography. And everything that I kind of know and do in filmmaking today is because of what I've been doing with photography. Observation and stillness. I've always seen the world in stills. Even before I started doing filmmaking, I'd walk around framing moments in my head like they were photographs. And I think that mindset of seeing life as a series of frozen frames is what shaped the way I tell stories now. I think I seen someone write on Twitter not too long ago about how they love when photographers become filmmakers because everything is just like a woman's hair blowing in the wind, and kind of just making these frames that feel like they're frozen in time. Frames that almost look like they're paintings or photographic or stills from a movie. Photography made me ask myself questions while I was out shooting, like what belongs in frame and what doesn't, how to work with natural lighting. You guys know that I shoot all of these videos with just the source of the sun, but photography kind of taught me how to use natural light and kind of how to shape natural light in a way that makes sense and looks cinematic, and kind of just how to use light to my advantage. And when you see these frames as a still frame, you realize that a single image has to say everything. It forced me to find stories in the smallest gestures or expressions. And over time, that kind of just changed the way I approach storytelling. And instead of chasing constant movement and action, I started just trusting the power of a still moment, a moment of stillness, and letting that one frame hold the weight of the entire scene. I also think photography made me think about how light falls on a subject because I mainly shoot portraits. As a photographer, you're always chasing that one frame that can tell an entire story, which also carried over into my filmmaking because I wanted every shot that I composed to also feel like it worked as a photograph. I want people to watch the things that I create and feel the things that I create. And a lot of the frames that I make and compose, I always want them to feel like they could stand on their own. I think photography made me very, very patient with long takes. I am a long take, hold the frame connoisseur. I know that we live in a day and age and kind of in a space, especially on YouTube, where things are kind of fast motion, fast paced moving. Sometimes I like to call it the Gen Z editing, because I feel like we're moving in a direction where everything is so fast paced and just quickly moving. And I feel like people may feel like people don't want to see this kind of slow paced kind of filmmaking, which is what I think I do and the kind of style that I lean more into. But I like to give people more credit than that. I think people will appreciate anything if they find it worthy of appreciating, I guess. But I think that discipline and kind of just doing those things helped me as a filmmaker, because instead of over explaining a shot, I learned how to just let the imagery carry most of the weight when telling a story through imagery. And this way of filmmaking and approaching filmmaking, for me, I think is directly tied to how I see the world with photography. But anyway, let's pause for a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, which is Storyblocks. Whenever I'm editing, the hardest part is finding the right piece of footage or sound without slowing down the flow. And that's exactly where Storyblocks comes in. With Storyblocks, you get unlimited downloads of diverse and high quality media with predictable subscription costs. I'm talking everything in one place, from 4K and HD video, templates, music, sound effects, images, you name it. And the best part is everything you download is clear-cut licensed, royalty-free, and protected forever. And once I drop it in my timeline, I can forget about any of the headaches. I can just focus on creating. All the B-roll, the music, and even these overlays I'm using right now are all from Storyblocks. And right now, you can get 2 extra free months when you sign up for an annual plan. So if you want to save time and make your edit smoother, check out Storyblocks at the link below. You can go to storyblocks.com/Volandis. Thank you, Storyblocks, for sponsoring this video. So to me, and in my mind, a lot of the way that we view the world is by sitting still and just observing. Everybody who's watching this has been at the mall and just watched life go by, or sat down at the park and just watched life go by, whether that was trees blowing in the wind, the way the grass moves when it's a really big gust of wind, people walking by doing their daily things like walking their dogs or drinking coffee, on the phone, jogging, just all of those things. I feel like we're an observer to life, and the way that we're meant to see life is through this kind of stillness and observation. And I think especially when I got sick and I couldn't really do anything but sit down and observe, it kind of made those feelings for me with filmmaking just that much stronger. I also couldn't really be around people, so anytime I could go out and make a video or made a video at home, I would just have to put my camera on a tripod and let the camera observe the things that I was doing, the things that I was feeling, and just life. And I think that perspective of observing time and letting things unfold directly shaped how I shoot film, with long takes and quiet moments and lingering shots, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just not move. But with that being said, there also has been some challenges of this kind of way of approaching filmmaking, because now when I do move the camera, I'm trying to think about how light moves through a space when you move through a space. For example, the kind of idea of sitting on a park bench and watching life go by. Now, imagine if I was walking through a park and watching life go by, how different the light looks when you're in one part of the shade and you get out and you're in the sun, or how when someone runs by you and maybe they drop something on the ground, so then your eyes go towards the ground and back up and back to the person who just ran by, like how that would look on film, or how that would look with some moving camera pieces and parts and stuff like that. It kind of was a challenge to kind of figure all of those things out, and I'm still figuring it out because, you know, I don't know everything, I don't pretend to know everything, but it's always fun trying to learn new things and get lighting right, or get a movement right, or just these things that I'm not necessarily kind of familiar with or very good at doing myself. So it's always fun just trying to figure those things out and just being a filmmaker and doing filmmaking. That's the funnest thing that I've ever done. But with that being said, photography, I do think, has helped me a lot with my transition into filmmaking and directing, and just sort of those things, especially directing, because again, I shoot a lot of people and I shoot a lot of people doing various different things, but trying to direct those people or tell people exactly what to do, or these things that you see in your head, and just trying to tell people how to do the thing that you're seeing in your brain is a challenging thing to do, and not a lot of people are able to do that. I do think it takes a lot of skill, a lot of kind of practice to get that right and be really good at it. I don't even think that I'm extremely good at it, but also directing people through photographs and photography has been something that I've done since the day of time. So trying to do it within filmmaking has been different, more challenging, but I do think that photography also helped with that as well. But anyway, yeah, with that being said, that's gonna do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, got something out of it. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. If you are already subscribed, I'm not talking to you because you already did what you had to do. So with that being said, we're gonna get up out of here, man. We're gonna go do some shit. You know the vibes. Let's get it.
Bye.